welcome to StoneMagpie for today's Whip and Chat. I am doing Crystal Ball by Anne Stokes from Diamond Art Club, and as you can see I have already started this kit. I started as usual in the top right, that's where I tend to begin, and look, it's like colour blocking in strips for this church roof. Hopefully you saw the short where I showed how I lay my release papers, and it's really good to get going on the kit. I have noticed that a couple of the colours have got little bubbles in them, and it did make me chuckle a little bit because being a structure, I thought it might look even more effective with a little bit of woodworm. And that made me laugh a little bit. So I haven't been really discerning in the diamonds for this part, but it tended to be the chestnut brown colour. You may be able to see, or you may not. That one there has like a little nibble, and that one here. So you have to look really close to spot them, but I left them in for a little bit of character. Okay, so I have peeled back the cover minder. Now normally I would cut these into probably, for canvas this size, probably 3 strips of protective cover. But now I have got more cover minders. I'm gaining quite a collection, and I have started making some myself as well. So I'm going to use 3 cover minders today, and I'm going to place them along the canvas so that hopefully I can keep the cover protector in one sheet for a change. So folding that back, I'll put my lovely tree in the centre. Just taking the magnet off the back, putting the cover minder to hold that in place. Then I will add a spool to the right hand side, again putting the magnet on the back to hold it in place, and the same on the left hand side. Scoot him along a bit. And what I've started to do is put a table mat on the back of the canvas, and that's because the magnets were scratching my wooden table a little bit. So it's just an extra protection for my table. I think we're ready to get going with the section. Let's have a look. Obviously it's going to be more strips of colour blocking. There we are. And this little bit here is the top of the head. Okay, I'm using the Diamond Art Club translucent tray. It is my favourite. I think it's because it feels less staticky than the white. I don't know why. The white just seems to get more static. Do you find that? Or is it just me? I'm using my favourite diamond painting pen from Crafted Makes. I did ask Steve actually about the size of this one after mentioning it in my last video, because it is a lot dinkier than his usual one. Steve said if you are buying a blank and then having the blank made into a diamond pen, if you want it to be this size, just let him know and he will be able to make it to your specifications. Otherwise, if they are pre-made, they tend to be longer, just so that you know that as well. I've also got my magpie feather tray with some mini eggs on. It is nearly Easter after all, and I did do a Easter cake for my Chuck and Cook channel. If you haven't caught that, then please do go and have a look on there. And let's just say I wasn't able to use these eggs on the cake, and once that video comes out, you'll see why. So I've brought them for us all to share today during the Whip and Chat. I've also got my cup of coffee on a coaster. so we can all have tea together and share the sparkliness of the coasters that I recently made whilst in Whitby. Again, there is another video showing those if you'd like to see it. And I did say I would hope to invite lots of friends for a tea party using these coasters. So here we all are sharing a cup of coffee whilst we diamond paint. Cheers, everybody. Right, now that you know what I've got around me, let's get diamond painting. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate you being here, absolutely do. We're going to start with the heart. Now this one is a colour that might have quite a lot of bubbles in, so if I find some, I will certainly show you what I mean. And I don't know if it's the dye lots that have created that issue, because it's the first time I've really noticed it with Diamond Art Club. I was quite surprised. And typical that these ones all look fine. So if I come across any, I will certainly let you know. I'm thinking what I might do is put a release paper on so that you can see the diamonds too. And I have, as usual, put some fresh wax in the end of my pen, and it is already flaking. I'm still using the blue wax from Oroloa rather than the pink wax that Diamond Art Club provide. So as I diamond paint this bit, you'll see what I mean about blocking in strips. It's like the direction of the roof. So I tend to go with the directions that the diamonds are dictating. So sometimes I'll multi-place vertically and sometimes I multi-place horizontally. And these just cry out being up in the roof to go vertically. Oh, it's so nice to get a new start. And I think this one hasn't taken that long for me to get going with either. Really excited. I did do a kitting up video for this one, so I hope that you caught the kitting up video too. And as I said, I went to Whitby recently. I haven't done a whip and chat since I got back. We spent so much time at beachcombing. Oh, I was going to show you some of my beach finds. I'll have to do that because, yeah, quite interesting what I found on the beach there. And I did take a very short video around the little rock pools. Oh my goodness, it was magical. They weren't like the rock pools that you find crabs and things in. They were more like pools of rocks and pebbles. Didn't find any creatures in them. It was quite magical standing in the middle of them it was quite a windy day and they were shimmering and the rocks looked just such beautiful colours in it. And I was stood in the middle of it and they were rippling with the wind. And I'll put in the video so that you can see exactly what I mean. So I just need to show you what I found whilst I was beachcombing for hours. We start with the sea glass. I love sea glass, and I was really lucky to get these big chunks of sea glass in different colours, especially the blue. The blue is quite a rare colour to find. We get quite a lot of the greens and the whites. The blue and the browns are lovely. And then I also got some chunks of china as well, and I thought, what stories would it be? Why would the china be in the sea and then washed up on the shore? What sort of ship has that come off? I just find it really interesting, and they're just like little treasures. I also picked up quite a few interesting looking pebbles. I mean, look at that one, it's just extraordinary. It's a bit like leopard spots. Then a chunk of this pinky colour, really pretty. And then the lines, look at that one, it's just a perfect line in a perfect place. Really, really lovely. Oh, and this one as well, with these markings in the stone. I had so much fun. Oh, yes, this one with like a star shape pattern on it. Had so much fun looking for these. I got quite a lot of these chunky orangey stones because I'm thinking of making these into little bumblebees. Oh, it would be cute if it works. So, yeah, I really enjoyed that. And wait till you see these extraordinary things. I'll show you a few little selections of what I found here. This is a stone with these absolutely perfect circles within them. Look at that. And some of them don't even go all the way through the stone, like that one there isn't on the other side. I've got quite a few of these. Look at that one. That would make a perfect pendant shape. They are quite fragile. If you bash them together, they tend to fall apart. But the interesting thing about these, I thought, what makes those circles? So once we got back to the cottage in Whitby, I actually did a little bit of research, and it's a natural occurring event with a creature called a piddock. And this piddock buries itself into this stone and makes the circles. Isn't that incredible? I was just blown away by that. And they're such lovely shapes. I'm sure I'll be able to do something creative with those. Look at this big chunky one. And look at how amazing those circles are. They are just perfect, considering a creature made those themselves. Oh, so I hope you enjoyed seeing those. Right, oh, and I also took a photo outside Magpie's fish and chip restaurant because being StoneMagpie, I didn't do it last time and I made a point of making sure I got a picture this time. It had to be done. Right, have we got any bubbles? No. So we're on to the H symbol now. Get back to diamond painting, because that's what you're here for, of course, instead of hearing my holiday tales. But I really did think that you would find that interesting. And the sea is so extraordinary, isn't it? You can have the sea gently lapping onto the sand, or it can be such a powerful being. One evening we were walking along, and we were actually walking along Henrietta Street, which is a very old street that I believe the cottages there were made for the Whitby jet workers in Victorian times, I believe. And as we got to the end of it, the sea was roaring, really powerfully pounding the rocks. And we headed down there. It is quite dangerous. You do have to be extremely careful. I didn't get too close because we did have Monty dog with us and I didn't want him pulling me in. So I was very careful while I was there, but I wanted to get as close as I could to just feel the energy of the sea, and wow, it was breathtaking. My husband did do a video of that as well, so we could remember just how it felt. And even on the video, I don't think it gets across the power of that water. Oh, and water is such a brilliant element. And as I say, it can be very gentle, and it can have that, I don't know how else to explain it, but just the energy behind it, that tidal energy. It was quite a spiritual experience, I have to say. Water, of course, is known to be a cleansing element, isn't it, of course? And they say if you're feeling a little bit unbalanced in your energy, if you take a shower or go to water, then it can help. And as we know as diamond painters, if we need a little bit of mindfulness, then that can help. And it certainly helped me that day. It was great, really uplifted me. I was actually watching a programme this morning. I am recording on Sunday morning. The clocks have gone forward this weekend, so that's always a bit of a shock to have an hour's less sleep. And honestly, I don't really know why we're sticking to this clock forward, clock back business, because I know it was introduced in wartime, and I think it was something to help save the cost of energy because it gets so dark early on. So I don't know why we're sticking with that, but anyway, we do tend to lose an hour's sleep in the spring. And then my head always goes to, well, it's this time at the moment, but really it's this, you know, like, so at the moment it's 12 o'clock lunchtime, but really it's 11 o'clock, so I'm not hungry. I'm not ready for lunch just yet. And it does take quite a while to adapt to it. So I always feel a little bit, not out of sorts, but feel like I'm having to catch up with myself today a little bit. So yes, what I was saying, I was watching a television programme as I was having my breakfast this morning, and it was all about some celebrities doing a pilgrimage following the footsteps of Saint Columba, who travelled from Ireland to Scotland. And what I took from that, these celebrities, they were all of different faiths or no faith at all. And they weren't sort of ministering to each other or anything like that. It was just having shared experiences and on the footpath of an ancient saint. I found it really interesting, the fact that they were each talking about their own faith and showing the others an element of it. For example, they went to St. Columba's cave in Scotland, which seemed very, very peaceful, even if you didn't want to have the mass in the cave, because they had a priest there doing a mass. Even if you didn't want that, you would just find such peace there in the setting itself. They also visited a church and stayed overnight, and the vicar there was talking about the poem that St. Columba wrote, and it was like everybody was gaining a little bit of something from the experience. The Jewish lady, she did a breaking of the bread and a prayer lighting the candles. Forgive me, I don't know all of the terminology for the Jewish and I can't remember what she called it. I'm sure it was something like Sabbath or something like that, Really, really interesting. And as she broke the bread and everybody shared that eating of the food, it really struck me about it being all about community. So it made me think about my little channel, and I thought, it is community. We are all coming together to share in something that we all love doing. And I think that's nailed it for me. That's why I get so much enjoyment from doing this, because we're sharing. We share what we're doing. We talk about what enjoyment, what pleasure we get from it. And it struck me as being very, very similar. So I usually do say how grateful I am to have you here, and I really do mean it. We are a diamond painting community, and it's such a lovely community to be part of. So thank you all for joining me, really, from the bottom of my heart. I really, really mean it. Yeah, I think sometimes we watch these television programmes and we sometimes see things that we don't really expect. I just was watching it over breakfast, not really expecting to gain anything from it apart from finding it a little bit interesting. And I took a lot away from that. Oh, the sun's just popped through. Birds are tweeting in the garden. Aren't we lucky? We are very, very lucky. One person on that programme actually mentioned about prayer as well. I'm not going to go on and on about faith and this programme, but I did want to say that one thing that was quite, well, two things that were quite interesting. One was that they were talking about us saying prayers when we needed something, when perhaps somebody's ill and we send up a prayer, and we haven't sort of done that for a long time. And then somebody said, oh, I do it to be thankful. And that struck me as well. I thought, yeah, I need to do more of that. Just say thank you more, be a bit more grateful. So I'm going to take that on board as well. And the other thing, the last thing I'm going to talk about was one of the celebrities, she's called Scarlett. She was talking about theories, and apparently she has a podcast where she talks about her theories. And one thing she mentioned was hieroglyphics. And she said that her theory is that the hieroglyphics are not from ancient times, but from the future. So she thinks that we have travelled to the future and left these drawings in caves to find, and the pyramids are from the future rather than from from a historical past. And I found that really interesting because I thought, well, she actually mentioned emojis, and I thought, I don't believe that it's from the future, but we are kind of going backwards a little bit with these emojis, aren't we? Because we started out in ancient times with hieroglyphics and pictures and picture writing and cave etchings and all of that. And we're kind of going back to that with emojis. So, you know, sometimes, I mean, I use them as well. I think they're great to express emotion on a text, because sometimes texts and emails, the tone of that can be read quite wrong, because you can't easily get a tone across. By using an emoji, it can help with the interpretation of what you're trying to say. So we're using pictures in our writing a lot more than we have So I think there's something to take away from that idea. I think, I found it quite interesting. I hope you do too, because I've rattled on about it now for a little bit. Okay, we're going on to the P's. Stuck together a little bit then. Going on to the P symbol, which is more of a reddy brown. In the unboxing of this diamond painting, I did mention about the, oh, what's the word? Not the scale, the way that this painting has been done by Anne Stokes, so clever. It sort of encompasses the whole picture, it draws in. And that's the part that I'm working on with this roof. So once I finish this little bit, I'll move my hands. So the way that it's done is drawing the eye in, and it just makes it feel really welcoming and cozy, I think. Draws the eye into the painting. I have been wondering about the windows as well, because we've got all of those beautiful turquoise ABs and dark blue ABs that are going to be in the windows, and I am debating about whether to use crystals instead to make them look more glass-like. So I'm humming and hawing about that. I may well, when I get to the window parts, I may well leave those until I've decided what to do. I haven't sourced any of the crystals yet, but I thought, well, it would make it look more stained glass-like, I'm sure, having the crystals. However, those ABs are so gorgeous. And what would I do when I got to the crystal ball bit, because that is also glass? So yeah, I'm all up in my head about it, trying to decide. And then I thought, should I do the ABs and see how I feel about it, and then pick them all off if I don't want them and would prefer crystals? So yeah, I've had a right fight with myself in my mind about that. I think I'm going to see what I think when I get there. I need to stop thinking about it, basically. But I do that quite a bit. I am an overthinker, and this is why diamond painting usually helps me with my overthinking. It usually helps my brain to stop for a minute, because I think when you're creative people, your brain goes 10 to the dozen trying to, you know, work out how you can make things, or how you can, I don't know, you just see things slightly differently, I think. So by diamond painting, it does stop my brain to a certain extent. In this case, I just need to try and stop thinking of the windows. And enjoy the moment, because that's what we need to do whilst we're diamond painting, don't we? We just need to enjoy the moment, enjoy what we're working on together. And umming and ahhing does not help that, but oohing and ahhing about the beauty of it definitely does. And thank you to everybody who watched my Oroloa finish, Fairy on a Toadstool, and took time to comment that you all seem to love it. So thank you. I agree. I love that painting. And it still really does remind me of my little sister. There's something about it that just reminds me of her. She does look slightly similar to the fairy. This lovely purple colour against that brown wooden colour. I think by diamond painting, I have started seeing more colours in nature around. So much so that, I don't know, maybe, I don't know if I'm a bit odd like this, but driving to work, I see colours everywhere and I notice things a lot more. So we are in the start of spring in the UK. And I'm noticing all of the hedgerow colours, things starting to come through with that bright spring green, and it's absolutely thrilling. The daffodil yellows, loads of things. And then I said to Louise, my work colleague, who you may well have seen on Chuck and Cook as well as this channel, I said, oh, did you see the pink blossom on the roundabout? Wasn't it glorious? And she's like, no, I didn't notice it. And I said, well, it's right in front of you as you drive down the road. She said, no. So I don't know if it's being a diamond painter. Perhaps if you paint and you're an artist or something like that, or like to work with colour, perhaps you notice it too. But I don't know if that's unusual. I don't know if other people see things in quite the same way. It surprised me that she hadn't noticed. So, made me wonder. Yeah, so being spring, I let Monty, the dog, out for his nighttime wee, to put it politely, and he started barking, which was a bit naughty of him, and I ended up going outside to try and entice him back in, and he was on the lawn. So as I walked over the lawn, I noticed that we've got lots and lots of twigs on the grass at the moment. We've had quite a lot of windy weather here in the UK recently, and I think it's blown loads of twigs off the tree. Got like a silver birch tree in the corner. I mean, so more than ever before, I've never noticed so many twigs. And I contemplated today picking them up and putting them in the garden waste, clearing them out. And I thought, you know, I'm going to leave them because the birds are nesting at the moment and they may well be very thankful for all of these twigs on the lawn. And let's face it, if they can tidy them up and use them, it saves me doing it. So I am going to leave them a little while and see if they do that. If I get some birds getting some twigs up off the lawn, then I will certainly take a picture and show you. But I was really surprised because they're sort of not embedded in the lawn, but you can't see them very easily from the window. So I had no idea that they were all stuck there. So that's the thing, as it gets to spring, means that I might need to get into the garden at some point, do a little bit of tidying up, ready for things to come through. It is rather cold. The sun was shining this morning and I thought, oh, it would be lovely taking Monty out for our usual Sunday walk. So I put my little waterproof jacket on and it was freezing. So I got back home, made my coffee, and I'm wrapped up in my blanket, sat at the table here. I actually hung the washing out on the line yesterday for the first time. The sun was shining, thought, right, great. Don't need the radiators on, can hang the washing out. We ended up going out for a bite of lunch. Well, it was supposed to be a quick lunch. We were out for 2 hours. And when we got out of, I'm not going to say restaurant, that sounds fancy, it was more of a pub lunch. It had rained a lot. So when I got home, I debated about whether just to leave the washing on the line because it already got soaking wet. So I did and brought it in around tea time. And it was as wet as when I first hung it out. So that didn't work as well as I'd hoped. And they ended up being put on the radiators. So looking forward to being able to hang the washing out again and it actually getting dry. I'm just pushing these together a little bit because I don't know if I'm slightly offline. The great thing about Diamond Art Club is that the glue is really nice, quite, I'm going to say slippy, but I don't mean that it's wet slippy, but there is a bit of manoeuvring you can do once you put the diamonds down, which is nice because it just gives you a little bit of play. So if you place your diamonds down a little bit off, they're not stuck fast. Squeeze them together a little bit. So I'm not quite sure which order I'm going to put my videos out, but if I haven't already uploaded it, there is going to be an unboxing soon. If I have already uploaded it, then please do look out for that one. It's a new to me company, but it's a very popular one that I know people have used already. And I am going to be diamond painting that one around about the same time as this one. I think it's going to be one I work alongside. So it's very, very different to this one. And I think that's going to make it fun to do, having a different sort of diamond painting on the go at the same time. I've started to enjoy doing that much, much more than I ever did before. I used to only just work on one diamond painting at a time. Now I like to have different things on the go. And especially with like the special shape kits and things that you can pick up and put down really easily. Yes, I know it means that your main canvas isn't being worked on as much, because obviously there's only a certain amount of time we have. But it keeps it interesting, doesn't it? Especially if you've got a diamond painting, say you're working on a black and white, and then you've got a really bright coloured one. That could work really well. Or if you're working on a square and a round, to have that difference. And then it just depends what mood you're in to what you want to be doing. Or perhaps, like I did with my coasters, I could do those on my knee in front of the telly rather than have to do my larger diamond painting on the table. So there are loads of options. I also, we've celebrated Mother's Day recently in the UK, and Mother's Day happens to be around very, very close to my mum's birthday. So we went over and spent some time with my mum, which was really, really lovely. And I did get her first Diamond Art Club diamond painting for her birthday. I also got her, my mum doesn't kit up, she doesn't use the storage boxes. She likes to work from trays and has her colours out. So I bought her one of those little wooden racks, you know, that you can slip your trays in and keep them stored a bit easier than having them all out along the desk. So they were her birthday presents, and I've said that with her diamond painting we're going to do, hopefully, an unboxing together. I'm so excited. Do it together, and she can show you the kit and talk about what's inside and things like that. So yeah, watch out for that one. And meet my mum. Mum likes to do partials. She likes to, well, she's done quite a lot of the partial diamond paintings that are pre-framed on a canvas, and then they have like painted backgrounds, and then you put on your diamonds as extras on the top. That's what my mum's favourite is. So of course Diamond Art Club is quite different for her. So I hope that she enjoys it. I just thought, you know, these are such beautiful kits, aren't they? And the kit that I chose, which I'm not going to give away on this video because I know my mum watches my channel, there was a very, very special reason why I bought the kit I did for my mum, and it was just perfect. So hopefully you will be subscribed and you will ding the notification bell so that when we get to do that you won't miss watching that video. There are a lot of browns in this kit, but the browns are so different from each other that it does feel like you're changing colours. It doesn't feel like you're using the same thing over and over again. So it does make it really lovely to work on. I know during the kitting up video, I'm sure I said a few times, another brown. But as I say, they have such different tones. You'll see even me putting these really dark browns next to the gingerbread browns. They look so different. It doesn't feel like it's just a solid brown area. And having that purple in between as well to highlight just gives it some life. Okay, just pressing down, making sure they're all down properly. Get rid of the wax, that's there. Right, we've got ours next. That looks like another paler brown colour. Got a bit of junk in my tray. Get rid of that. So shall we have a mini egg? Talking earlier about sharing food as part of a community, please do pick a mini egg and enjoy. I'm going to go for this one because it actually looks like a bird's egg, doesn't it, with all of those speckles on. They are very crunchy. I may have to. Right. I've eaten it. I had to pause there because I didn't want to be rude and crunch down there, down the camera. But I hope you enjoyed your treat. Bit of sugar, keep us going. I tell you what, when we were on the beach and I was obviously bending to pick up all of my treasures, I realised that I don't bend like that very often. Sore knees, sore back, sore shoulders, but you know, it was worth it. It was definitely worth it. And we were out there for hours, but I realised that, yeah, I think I need a bit of strengthening. If I lived by the coast, I would definitely do that more. It would be really good for me. It would be good for my knees to have that exercise. But I must admit, because, you know, the seagulls are very, very noisy, very squawky, especially early in the morning. So when we got back, the first morning that we woke up in our own bed, it was just like, oh, so peaceful and lovely. So it is lovely to go away, and it's lovely to get back home as well. Okay, we're finishing with just this little strip of number 2s. I always feel a bit naughty saying number 2s because, you know, what we call number 2s. I'm not, you know, as in poop. So, finishing with number 2s. Which is the red AB. And you'll notice I've mentioned before that I am no longer changing to a plastic end when I'm placing my ABs. What I find is with this metal end, it's absolutely fine as long as I don't use fresh wax, because I think it's more the fresh wax that pulls off the coating rather than the metal causing a problem. So this little shimmer going up the roof is so pretty. A little bit of a glisten. Wow. And there we have it, another section finished. There we have the diamond painting so far. I hope you've got on really well with your own diamond painting, and I hope that you've enjoyed the video and joined in with my silly stories and thoughts and just my murmurings. Thank you so much for watching. Please do like, share and subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. In the meantime, enjoy your own diamond painting. Take care.